Hey everybody, how are you today? Pretty nice day out. It's Tuesday, and I thought I'd come out and hang out by my shed with my old wheelbarrow here. And just want to say hello before we get started. I hope you're hanging in out there. I'm hearing a lot of good things. Everybody's working hard. I'm realizing the hardest part for me is not being able to go to class, because it was one of the calmest parts of my day. I'd work on all sorts of crazy stuff for the college, come to class, know exactly what I was supposed to be doing, hang out with you guys, enjoy myself. It was really a break from all my work. But I get up and my whole day just seems kind of crazy now. But anyway, it's nice to be here with you, and we're going to wrap up The Great Gatsby. And I'm running a little behind in my work, so once again I'm going to bring both classes together and try to answer all your questions. So we got into all the characters last time, we got a little bit into the American Dream, but let's cut right to your questions, and then we'll do a little wrap up maybe in a second or third video. So our first question comes from Jake, and Jake, always the practical approach, and I like this. This will serve you well in life. Why does Jake Gatsby not have security at his house? Duh, yeah, of course, he should have security at his house. He's a gangster, he's a bootlegger, he's had people killed. And George Wilson, who I think is a great guy, not the brightest bulb in the chandelier, somehow he gets in with a gun and offs Gatsby in his swimming pool? Yeah, seriously, good question, Jake. And I don't know. Too much thinking about Daisy. Who do you feel is to blame for everything that happens? Well, that's always a good question. I'm torn between Nick and Gatsby, because if Nick had kept to himself, nothing would have happened, but Gatsby kind of bribed Nick to do it. That's a good question. Who's ever to blame? Well, you know, your best bet is always to look at yourself. Don't blame others. In this case, Gatsby's to blame. He needed to get a grip on reality. He needed to give up on Daisy and move on with his life. But everybody plays a part, and this is a good lesson on the choices we make and their ripple effect. Everybody plays a part. If Daisy had said, hey Gatsby, you know, sorry, you know, we had our moment 5 years ago, but I'm married. If Gatsby had given up, if Nick hadn't reunited them, if Jordan hadn't played her part. So everybody plays a part in what happens in this book and in life. So always watch out for yourself, and remember, everybody plays a part. But that's a very good question. I think that came in from Zach. So excellent, not surprised there. Let's see, what else do we have? Ooh, do you think Daisy was happy Myrtle was dead? Well, I'm not sure about that, but I do want to make the point, because people often think this, that Daisy knew when she hit Myrtle that she was hitting Tom's mistress. Daisy did not know that she was hitting Tom's mistress. Yes, it's kind of an unbelievable coincidence, but Myrtle was running out because, remember, and this is important, Myrtle was running out because she thought Tom was driving the car. That's the car, the big yellow car that Tom drove into the city. We're going to look at that scene in depth later. And on the way out of the city, Daisy's driving that car, and Myrtle comes running out to say, Tom, take me away from here, you have to leave your wife. And instead it's Daisy driving the car, and she hits Myrtle, but she doesn't know it's Myrtle. Is she happy Myrtle's dead? I don't really know, you know, because you know what's going to happen? Tom's going to get another mistress, and one of the dark themes of this book, a poor woman like Myrtle, she's disposable. There's always more of them around for Tom to screw around with. And it's really a despicable thing. So hard to say whether Daisy's happy about Myrtle's death or not. Some of you thought, well, of course she is, but why was Owl Eyes the only one who showed up with Nick to Gatsby's funeral? Well, most of the partygoers didn't even know Gatsby. He didn't pay any attention to them. I think we said this last class. Gatsby used everybody, hoping Daisy would get swept in with the partygoers. Gatsby didn't care about them, and they didn't care much about him. He didn't even know them. So I do think that Owl Eyes, though, is the exception. Owl Eyes is the only party goer who realizes there is something genuine in Gatsby, that Gatsby is a genuine fake. And this gets to the question Shane asked, which is a really good one, and Shane always looking out for a good party. Are Gatsby's parties as cool as they seem? And I have to say, I think yes. Think how cool it would be. Free liquor when liquor's illegal, food, really good music, and you don't really have to talk to the host. The host doesn't even care that you're there. You don't need an invitation. A quick story. A long time ago, my friend Dave and I had to go to Union College, a nice private high-end college in Schenectady, to return a book to the library. Library was closed. They were having their big end-of-the-year picnic. So Dave and I said, hey, let's go to the picnic. And we ate, and man, we had a great time, and we weren't even students there. So I can say going to a party where you don't have to contribute any money or even talk to the host is pretty awesome. So Shane, if you ever have a chance, go to a Gatsby party. Yeah, well, Gatsby had to drag, good question, Ronan. Why did Gatsby have to drag other people in? Because, well, it wasn't working when he was trying it by himself. And it makes for a better book. Is Nick Carraway a reliable narrator? I think so. He's a little biased towards Gatsby. He might even have a little thing for Gatsby. Here's a theory that I don't think is provable, but there is a theory that Nick's gay, and he in fact has really got a thing for Gatsby. There are 3 girlfriends mentioned for Nick in the book. One is back in Chicago, and he breaks up with her because there was a rumor they were getting married. He had a girlfriend in New Jersey whose brother gave him a dirty look, so he broke up with her. And he breaks up with Jordan as well because he calls her careless. So all that's a little nitpicky if you ask me, but he's very loyal to Gatsby. In chapter 3, when he's at the party where Tom breaks Myrtle's nose, Nick is watching Mr. McKee all day with a little white cream on his face, shaving cream. And then he winds up back in the apartment with Mr. McKee, and they're in their underwear looking at a book. Does it change anything? No, but Nick is very loyal to Gatsby. Even on the last page of the book, Nick is erasing a dirty word from Gatsby's porch that some kid wrote with a piece of brick. So I think Nick is reliable, but he is biased towards Gatsby. So yeah, Nick's a solid narrator. A lot of you asked about T.J. Eckelberg's eyes. Now that's a good question, and the general consensus, because George Wilson looks up and he says, "God's watching," and it's a big pair of eyes. It's an advertisement for optometrist T.J. Eckelberg, and it represents a passive God, a God that's just staring out. And of course, what is he staring out over? A dump. Literally, the Wilsons live in the Valley of the Ashes, where the coal ash from the New York City is dumped. So God, it's a passive God looking out over a dump. The cover of the book, and if you look carefully at the cover, there are naked women in the eyes. The cover of the book supposedly inspired F. Scott Fitzgerald to play up a little bit more the Eckelberg's eyes, but I'm not sure if that's really true. Who's to blame for Gatsby's downfall? Everybody. And of course, I think Gatsby's responsible for himself. I'm big on personal responsibility out there. Weather in the story, very nice. It is a hot story, just as things heat up in the book. It's a really, really hot day when they go into the city. And of course, it's raining at Gatsby's funeral. It's kind of gloomy. So I never thought about weather before. That's a really good question. Let me see who that came in from. Quasia, very good. So I think the rain at Gatsby's funeral is very gloomy. It's of course very sad. The heat comes when the book is heating up. I think more important, and actually weather is tied to this, but in the book is the change of seasons. This is a summer novel. It's great that I'm out in the sunshine. I did put sunscreen on so I won't get burned. This is a summer novel. It takes place in one summer, and it ends with the change of seasons. And coincidentally, you know, and of course fall brings in winter, which is death. Now, you won't be surprised at this, but I have visited F. Scott Fitzgerald's grave site in Rockville, Maryland. You can look at it on findagrave.com. It's not my favorite website. isitThursday.org is my favorite website. But findagrave.com, look at F. Scott Fitzgerald's grave. He was born on September 24th, the beginning of fall, and he died on December 21st, I think 1st. The first day of winter. It's very striking to look at his stone and see that he lived through fall. And Fitzgerald was always interested in what happens after the peak of something. Interesting stuff. Is Gatsby a psychopath? I don't really think he's a psychopath. He's just a sucker for love. But I don't think he's a gangster. Yeah, he's probably had people killed. But I don't know if that qualifies him as a psychopath. But hey, psychopath is in the eye of the beholder. Does Gatsby's death indicate the death of the American dream? Good question, Vincent. We've talked a lot about the American dream. Let's talk about it some more. Gatsby, I think Fitzgerald is saying the American dream is a myth to begin with. And Gatsby dies because he believed in it. And I'm calling into question the whole dream here. Get a lot of money and get a woman, those are nice things, but maybe there are other things that you should be searching for in your life. Peace, helping others, having healthy relationships, not being obsessed with a woman for 5 years when you don't even have communication with her. Getting rich does not bring happiness. We've talked about this at length this semester. So I think Gatsby's death is more about the dangers of chasing down the American dream, and that it's already dead, and it's probably not a good dream to have anyway. So good question, Vincent. Somebody here is questioning Nick's reliability as a narrator because he gets drunk a couple times. Yeah, that's solid. Sometimes people are better narrators with a little liquor in them. That opens them right up. I'm not intoxicated right now. What is the setting of The Great Gatsby? Well, New York City is the city of dreams, where there, you know, people go to the city all the time to chase their dreams. The setting, though, is, of course, on Long Island, around one of the bays of Long Island. And the eggs, you probably heard about this in high school, East Egg is where the old money people born with money, like the Buchanans, live. And Gatsby is over in the new money section, which is West Egg. And of course, even in America, East Coast is old money, West Coast is new money. What that has to do with East Coast, West Coast rappers, I'm not really sure. I'm not hip to that. That's kind of old anyway.